Hi guys, welcome to my Action Research Multimedia presentation. Reflecting back on my placement in a grade 5 gifted class, it was a struggle to keep all 25 students fully engaged in a classroom lesson. Each student had an IEP and therefore it was a little challenging to meet all of their needs, especially when it came to zoning in on one particular task. Many of these students use fidget tools, yet would still act out and become tardy when not fully engaged. Ultimately, their peers would be affected as it was a distraction to their learning. We focused on integrity and reminded the students to be kind and respect each other and every one of us in the class, teachers and students combined. Unfortunately, my associate teacher wasn't comfortable in much inquiry-based work. And after the research I conducted, I would have loved the opportunity to see possible improvements in student behavior towards their peers and create a more engaging learning environment for my students through inquiry-based learning. So this is why I chose the core values of kindness, engagement, and integrity. The statement of research problem. What I noticed during my placement was that not all students were fully engaged in the inquiry-based instruction. Since I was in a kindergarten classroom, I was able to really experience the new curriculum and play-based environment. However, when we based our instruction off of the students' interests, there were always those students who wanted nothing to do with that particular topic. It was hard for us teachers to narrow down the interests of all of the students, as each student at that age especially is developing at different rates and are interested in different topics. We usually had a vote for which topic we would be exploring and focusing on. And we would change up the inquiry when the interests were dying down. However, we still found the discouragement and disengagement from multiple students. The research question that I did pose was, will inquiry-based instruction help keep students engaged while eliminating the possibility of unkindness? If this strategy proves to be effective, will the students make learning gains and restore respect, trust, and honesty amongst the classroom? Some terms that I wanted to be more familiar with was the inquiry-based learning and flipped classroom, since I hadn't used them in previous placements. The inquiry-based learning is a method of teaching that engages students in sense-making activities, rather than showing facts or a clear, smooth path to a solution. The teacher guides the students through well-crafted problems through an adventure in concept, discovery, and application. The flipped classroom is very interesting. It's a pedagogical model in which the typical lecture and homework elements of a course are reversed. Short video lectures are viewed by students at home and before the class sessions begin. And when they come to class, their class time is devoted to exercises, projects, and discussions. Literature summary. I chose 3 articles that I really enjoyed and helped out this research. The effective inquiry-based learning approach on students' critical thinking skills. The purpose of the study was to determine the effect of an activity set developed according to the inquiry-based learning approach, IBL, it's known as. The study explains that IBL engages all students' analytic and critical thinking skills. Students will have the opportunity to research and investigate in their own ways, which will foster devotion, creativity, and most importantly, engagement. Since the IBL uses student-centered approach, it focuses heavily on asking of questions and critical thinking as well as problem solving. This will enable students to develop skills needed throughout their whole lives. This research is primarily based off of traditional elementary classrooms. Embracing the essence of inquiry, new roles for science teachers. This research study was created to demonstrate the importance of inquiry and prove how successful it can be within the classroom, science subjects especially. The researcher noticed that every student appeared interested and engaged in varied tasks within the classroom before the bell even rang. This was mind-blowing. Students appeared very eager to learn more and were willing to discuss their inquiry projects. All of the students but 2 gave incredible feedbacks and were hoping their other classrooms would move towards inquiry-based learning. Differentiating instruction in the regular classroom. This author embraces the fact that not one size fits all. Every student learns differently, so we as teachers should embrace the fact and teach in different ways to meet all learners' needs. We as teachers need to develop, challenge, and engage the tasks for each learner based on essential topics and concepts of the student's interest to display their learning. This may be difficult, but knowing your students from day one and taking the time to learn how they learn will make your students become the best that they can be. The author also discusses how you want your students to grow and succeed in their own way. And by including more movement within the classroom has also been proven to help students' learning and retention process. My research plan. The data sources that I chose were student work samples, which were portfolios, interviews, and anecdotal notes. The portfolio shows as visual proof of the student's improvements, success, and areas of improvement. Students and teachers and parents need to be involved in this process, and the teachers will discuss and determine which work goes within the portfolio. The student portfolio will be an ongoing process, and work will constantly be submitted into their portfolio for the 6-week period. The student portfolio will be a folder that selected work will go into. Anecdotal notes and any online work may be printed off and submitted into the portfolio. For the interview, it is a great opportunity to hear the students' perspectives and views on inquiry-based instruction. Again, the students will be involved, along with the teachers and colleagues. The interviews will be done within 1 period or longer if need be. Interviews will be recorded on a recording device and afterwards typed up onto an online portal for other teachers to have access to. For the anecdotal notes, we will learn, witness, and observe student interactions. Everyone will be on board with this as well, which includes the teachers, students, parents, and colleagues. The anecdotal notes will be collected over the 6-week period. We will be using them on a day-to-day basis throughout the day to get an idea of the students as a whole. Anecdotal notes will be recorded on the iPad as an easy way to store student information which can be accessed from any device. Written anecdotal notes are acceptable but must be implemented into their file on the iPad. Why do these data sources work? Why did I choose them? I think there's many strengths for the portfolio. You're really able to see a wide range of student work. It's very realistic. It's reliable for low inference observations, and it's very time effective. For the interview, it's really effective for differentiated learners. Some students may be able to express themselves differently or better verbally. Anecdotal notes. You can really observe students' interactions and effectively reflect on anecdotal notes. It's a great tool to see students' true colors. Triangulation, validity, and reliability. Student triangulation of data. Student portfolio and anecdotal notes. Again, the student portfolio will be an ongoing process and will constantly be submitted with work into their portfolio for the 6-week period. We are hoping to learn a lot from the student portfolios. This will show us visual proof of the students' improvement, success, and areas of improvement. The anecdotal notes will be collected over the 6-week period as well to determine if the students are engaged, kind, and if the inquiry-based instruction is effective. We'll be using them on a day-to-day basis throughout the day to get an idea of the students as a whole, not just at specific times of the day. I can ensure validity and reliability of the data I collect in multiple ways. I'll be using student interviews once per week over the course of 6 weeks, which will be great to hear the students' perspectives and views on inquiry-based instruction. Each student will have their own ongoing portfolio, and the work will constantly be submitted for that 6-week period. My data is reliable because it is consistent and ongoing for a period long enough to get valid, triangulated information. Participants and settings. This will be an ongoing research study that takes place at school, which will involve the students along with teachers, principals, and colleagues, as they all need to be informed. There will be 100 participants, 50 being kindergarten and 50 being grade 5 students. Collecting the data will be from a local elementary school, and there will be 2 classes within the kindergarten and 2 classes of grade 5. Why we have this: for each grade we are going to have 1 controlled group and 1 experimental group. For the controlled group, it will mean that there's no inquiry-based instruction given. For the experimental group, inquiry-based instruction will be given. My research plans. This will be the timeline for the research. All these will be taken through a 6-week period. Anecdotal notes will be collected every day. Work samples will be put in as often as need be, and interviews will be once a week for the 6 weeks. Ethical considerations. 4 ethical issues need to be considered before embarking on an action research project. We will be obtaining informed consent, the student's right to privacy, confidentiality, avoiding deceptive practices, and minimizing the risk of harm. I think it's important for students, especially under the age of 18, to have a parent or guardian sign a consent before the research project begins. We as teachers also should draw up an unofficial consent for the students as well, so they are aware of the project and research that we will be taking place. This will ensure confidentiality of your participants. We as teachers also need to make sure we understand the importance of data collected. The time period in which it takes place is critical, as some research studies may take up to a few years to complete. Informing the students that they have a right to withdraw at any point is also highly recommended. I think it is important for teachers to be continuous learners, and the design of this action research project will support my knowledge of teaching and has expanded my horizon on research. It has already given me incentives to better my practice. The education field is always changing, but keeping up to date with it all is critical. There are so many positives to inquiry-based instruction, and I have seen it all through this research project. Just how much it benefits the students, teachers, community, and in the end affects the whole world. I hope you enjoyed my action research multimodal presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.